Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, I have another drone for you today. This is a drone that's been out for probably at least 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. And it's a drone that I have been curious about because I have its predecessors. But what I have is the Fimi X8 SE 2022 model. Now this is not the version 2 that has the little accessories so that you can drop a fishing line or a speaker on there. This is just the plain 2022 model. That is more what I'm interested in. The big deal about this is it seems to be improved all the way around. It may look like the older versions of the drone, but it's got a better camera and it's got some other features that I think we'll be interested in. So let's quit messing around. Let's get this guy out of the box and we'll talk about what it offers. Hey, okay, the Fimi X8 SE 2022, I always thought it was interesting. Fimi on their boxes, they put this little sticker that seals the box closed, and it tells you about the how the aircraft heading and so forth, how it works. I thought that's kind of clever, kind of doing double duty there. So let's slice into that. So there we go, we're all sliced open. Just to kind of show you the rest of the box, there's not a lot to see here. You know, it does specify that it's the 2022 version on there, and it you know, talks about the 4K HDR video, 3-axis gimbal, folding design, half-inch sensor, which is a big deal, 10-kilometer range, 35 minutes flight time, they're saying, and precision vision system, and this is remote ID compliant. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Nothing else on that side. Let's go ahead and open this guy up. And there you go. I am very familiar with this situation because this is exactly how the original 2018 version came. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to tilt the camera up here a little bit so you can see that packing list there, which is kind of handy. And it also has that, again, that QR code. So that's kind of cool. So anyway, just for the fun of it, I've got the 2018 box right here, and I'm going to show you and how they have not changed things much. And you know, you'll see that's very, very similar. And this drone, let me tell you, this drone has got a lot of miles on it. It's flown quite a bit. Anyway, so let's get back to the 2022 version. So let's go ahead and pull this guy out of the box. As you would expect, you've got well, it says a quick start guide, so it must be in several languages. Quick start guide and yeah, disclaimer and safety, typical stuff. Quick start guide, I would urge you to look that over. However, what I did is I just went on Fimi's website and downloaded a PDF of the owner's manual. You're going to want the full owner's manual. Then let's pull the controller out first. That's worth looking at. This is just a great design for a controller. Your mobile device goes in the middle here, and then of course here you've got this where you store the sticks, and you know, it's got a slider for return to home, power button down here, landing and takeoff button. This is a 5-way switch. You know, if you put the gimbals in there, that's your normal gimbal sticks. You've got the roller for moving the gimbal up and down. You can change EV with the roller on the other side, exposure value. And then it gives you a couple of customizable, an A and a B switch that you can customize as well. So, you know, I've always liked this design. Now let's pull this off here so you can see. This is where your cables are going to hook in. So I see it's still micro USB. So your OTG cable to your mobile device is going to be micro USB, and you're going to slide the end of that cable in there, and that's where your phone, where it'll hook in. And we'll see if we can find those cables, and I'll show you that. And then, you know, thank you. DJI no longer supplies a charge brick with their newest, like the Mini 3 Pro did not have it. I appreciate that you get a good charge brick. So you've got that. And I should have a US plug, and indeed I do. And then the OTG cables that I was telling you about, and I'm going to use the Apple cable. So Listen, I misspoke there. That micro USB is that I showed you. The micro USB is for charging, and then it's USB-A that your OTG cable plugs in from to the drone. So it's going to be, like in my case, it's going to be the lightning cable and then the USB-A end in there. So very simple. And then what else we have? We got the usual spare props, or well, not spare props. These are the props. And heck, let's pull them out here. I'm wondering if there's any extra at all. Yeah, so these are the 3 counterclockwise props. And I expect when we pull the drone out here, we will find the clockwise props under there. And sure enough, there they are. So there's 3 clockwise props. So what you have is an extra pair of props with the package. And then here is the drone itself. And oh, look at this. They've got... the older style, and it's even got the Sunny Life logo on there, so they use the Sunny Life gimbal cover. So previously, what they had done is they just give you a little foam block that fits around the camera, and I'll show you that on the one of the other drones, one of the other versions of this drone. But yeah, kind of cool that you've got this good gimbal cover now. And yeah, I mean, this is all very, very familiar to me. Let's go ahead and fold out the arms here. So basically, you've got an optical flow sensor right there and a sonic sensor right there. That tells the drone how far off the ground it is, and you know, if it's moving, etc., moving over the ground. These are landing legs. All the changes are on the inside of this drone because this looks very, very familiar. And then this is simply a light on the back. And then there is that camera with the Sony half-inch sensor. And you know, I'll have to compare it with the older version of the drone, but it does look a little bigger. Now, what I want to tell you is don't be fooled. There are not any kind of obstacle avoidance sensors under that grill on the front there. There's no OOA on this drone at all. To me, that's not a bad thing. It's not a knock at all. And then I noticed on the front legs, it's got some feet there too. So it kind of sits on 6, you know, the 4 feet there, and then the 2 feet on the front legs. So let's pull the battery out and take a look at that. Okay, so this is the 4,500 milliamp hour lithium-ion battery, lithium-ion polymer, so LiPo battery that powers this drone. So you know, it gives you the instructions there. It gives you the once and then hold it down again to turn it on and off. So to power check, you just press it once. I am going to say this is the exact same battery as is on the older versions of this drone, but I cannot say that definitively. We'll look at one of the older ones here in a second. Okay guys, here they are all in a row. This is the 2018 version, the 2020 version, and the 2022 version. You're going to be hard-pressed just by looking at the bottom of them to tell the difference. Let me stand them up here so we can look at the cameras. So I left the foam block on there so you can see that's what they used to give us for the gimbal protector. And actually, you know what? It works pretty good. I mean, I really didn't have a lot of complaints. You know, it was kind of a pain to slide it on there. You can see me kind of struggling to get it off. But let's look at these cameras. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not seeing a big difference in size. Now, if you look at the lens, you can definitely tell the difference. So this is the 2018 version, 2020, and this is 2022. And I definitely see a bigger aperture on that 2022 lens. But if you look at the gimbal itself and the way the camera is mounted, I don't see a lot of differences. I remember there was a kind of a controversy for a while about how many of the rubber cushions were on the gimbal here, and yeah, I mean, I don't see. Yeah, you know, there was for a while people were saying to take one off, and yeah, I see this has got one on this side, as does this one. And if you look at this newer version, There is no rubber cushion down there on, well, I guess it would be on the drone's right if the drone was facing down, but on our left as we're looking at it now. So yeah, whether that makes any difference or not, you know, one of the hallmarks of this drone is we've struggled to keep a level horizon. So, you know, they've done a firmware updates and so forth. And in my experience, the 2020 version was worse than the 2018 version. But let's look at the top here. Let me snap that battery back in place on that one. And of course, these both have, they got the props on them, and the new one does not, but we'll move those over. And, you know, again, boy, not a lot of difference, huh? It looks just about the same. Yeah, in fact, I just visibly, you would struggle to tell the difference. And then I'm going to say the same thing on the back. You got that light there, pretty much identical. I really see no difference between the three. So, so a very similar design. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not differences in these drones, and I'm going to show you some of them. One of the things you'll see right here, I've got some glue on there. I got some of that plastic cement. I started to have a crack develop there, and I thought about replacing this arm, but let me tell you, I bought another arm for it, but it's quite a job to do that. And I could have paid somebody to have it done, but I don't. You know, honestly, I think with that cement on there, I think it's stronger now than probably just a brand new arm. But that was one thing about these the 2018 version. There were some issues with people that had arms actually breaking, flying it around in sport mode. My understanding is that the later models, they strengthened that and took care of that. And the other thing that I want to tell you is, you know, this is a drone that, holy cow, have I flown it a lot. I flew this drone a lot. I sent it to Ryan Duvall in Illinois. He flew it a while. He sent it on to my friend Ron Brown in New Jersey. He flew it a little bit and then sent it on back to me. So, and I've flown this drone a ton and have enjoyed it quite a bit. I'll be honest with you, the 2020 version I was a little bit disappointed in. It undeniably has a better camera on it, but I had some issues with frame dropping, and I had more issues with a stable horizon on this drone, and I always preferred flying the 2018 version, even though the camera wasn't quite as good. So the big difference here is I made myself some notes. So let's turn these guys around and get them out here, and I am going to talk to you about some of the differences. And mainly, we're going to discuss the difference between the 2020 version and the 2022 version. So the camera is the big thing. I mean, so I always say, why do we buy GPS camera drones? Well, to take good video and good photography with. And I suspect this drone is going to deliver that. So a couple of things is it's got a 1/2-inch sensor as opposed to a 1/2.6 with this guy here. So it's a bigger sensor, but probably more importantly, it's got a bigger aperture. It'll go to f1.6. So what does that mean? It means that it'll let in more light, as opposed to the 2020 version is an f2.0. And it's got a bigger ISO range. I'm looking for big things out of that camera, and hopefully a stable horizon. Now, the other biggest changes that I'm going to say is, and none of these drones do I have any complaints. At least these two that I've flown so far, no complaints about their range and connection. They've always done very well. Fimi calls that rock link, and I've really not had some issues. I've heard some people, I remember when this first came out, some people complained, but I did not see those issues terribly much. So anyway, the difference is this one has an 8-kilometer range, whereas this one has a 10-kilometer range. Probably even more importantly is the latency. This one has a 220 millisecond latency latency, and this one is much faster, 130 millisecond latency. So it should be a very precise drone, and it should take your commands instantly. Now, some other things that I'm not sure I understand why they were too worried about: the height of the drones. In other words, the max height limit. This one was 500 meters. Well, we're limited to 120 meters to be legal anyway, so what difference does that make? However, this one has a height limit of 800 meters. So I assume that they're talking about how high that can fly above ground level. Anyway, that's what I believe they're saying there. And then they're talking about rain resistance. So I don't know of any drones that I would recommend flying in the rain, but I remember when this came out, they said in light rain you could fly the drone. I'm going to be honest with you, I never did it. I flew it in the snow one time, never flew it in any rain, didn't have any problems. They're saying that this drone, the 2022 version, is waterproof to the point that it will fly in moderate rain. Now, obviously, if you got rain on the lens of your camera and stuff, what's the point of that? But anyway, the other big difference is the 2022 version has remote ID built into it. That's something that's of interest to us in the United States. So what you know is that this drone isn't going to be obsolete. You won't have to put a module or anything on it to legally fly it when remote ID becomes the law at the end of 2023. These drones do not have that capability. What else can we talk about here? The other thing that I wanted to mention is the flight time. It's virtually identical for the three of these. They're saying a 35-minute flight time. I always found the flight time to be more than adequate. And they're saying an 18 meter per second top speed. And yeah, so that's close to 40 miles an hour. I think I've had these two. I know I've had above 40 miles an hour. So they are powerful drones. You're going to have plenty of power flying those drones. And that's a bigger deal than what a lot of people think. Being able to get the drone to where you need it. And well, that brings up wind resistance. So that's the other thing that they talked about. This drone, I believe, is level 5 wind resistance, which is up to 24 miles an hour. This one's level 6, which is, I think, 28 miles an hour or something like that. This guy, the 2022 version, they say is good for level 8 wind resistance, which is up to, I think, 38 to 46 mile an hour winds. I got to tell you, I'm not sure I would ever fly a drone in those kind of winds, but there it is. They're saying that it'll do it. So there you go. The other thing that I want to talk about, and that's all three of these drones, and that Fimi is really good at, is that they include a lot of features. They are feature-packed drones. The only thing I can say that these drones probably don't have is obstacle avoidance. Whether you think you need that or not, but what they have, they've got all the auto landing, precision landing. They have waypoints. A lot of people ask for waypoints in their drones. Fimi offers that on these drones. I've used it. It works quite well. It has smart track, they call it, and including trace, profile, and lock. So trace, it's going to follow behind you. Profile, it's going to stay on whatever side you put it on. That's the side the drone is going to stay on. Lock, it's just cameraman mode. The drone hovers in place and then keeps the camera on you wherever you move, which is kind of cool. It's got orbit. It's got tap fly. What is tap fly? That is sending it in a straight line, and the drone will fly perfectly straight. And it's got intelligent flight modes. Quick shots is what DJI calls them, but it includes a droney, a rocket, and an invert, and it's also got a spiral mode, corkscrew mode, helix is what I think DJI calls that. It's also got SAR mode, search and rescue mode, and what that does, that allows you to do a digital zoom with the drone, and it also shows you can point out GPS coordinates. And tripod mode is for flying very slow and very precise, and it has a course lock mode, and it has a fixed wing mode. And fixed wing, that's like FPV mode. The drone would then fly like an airplane. In other words, it would tilt and bank, and it locks the gimbal in place. So yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of features. It is what I would call a full-featured product. One more thing I want to do before we end this is let's take a battery out and take a look here. So we looked at this one already. It was 4,500 milliamp. Let me grab one of the other ones. I think I've got one in the bag here. Okay, here's the one that I have that I had extra for the 2022 version, and it looks virtually identical to me. Let's pull the one, or excuse me, for the 2020 version is what I had this for. Let me pull the one out of the 2022 version, and let's look at them side by side. Yeah, looking at them side by side, the model number is identical, so they are absolutely the identical product. So that's good news. So that tells me I can use my older batteries with this drone. In fact, let's pull one out of the 2018 version and compare it. Yeah, so this is the 2018 version, as you can see, the model number is identical. So they are interchangeable between the various versions of the drone. And I'm looking at the date. Yeah, in fact, yeah, this says 2019 on this one, and that's an older battery. This one says 2022 2/18. So, yeah, I mean they are dated, so that's a way to tell the difference. I probably should number them so that I know. I can tell you one of the things that I never did is I never mixed the batteries for the 2018 and 2020 versions. Because I was concerned that maybe they might have, different software packages, etc. But with the same model number, I don't think it's a worry. So, yeah, I'm going to have plenty of batteries. Hey, okay, so Fimi X8 SE drones, I've got plenty of them. So, yeah, the next step is to take it out and fly this guy. We'll do it in another video, but I'm really, really anxious to look at the video quality of this drone, and I've got some good expectations for it. What is the biggest advantage of this drone? I'm just going to tell you straight out its price. Right now it's on Banggood for $449. That's where I bought mine, and that to me is just a tremendous deal for the kind of features that this drone offers. So that's why I'm really pulling for it, and I want it to be good. And again, this is not the V2 version. The V2 version has some stuff right down here that you can attach some things to do it. Now, if you're a fisherman or something like that, that line drop thing might be more important to you. And I think it's it's less than another $100 to get that stuff. And then it's got another thing. It's got a loudspeaker on there that will throw out a pre-recorded message. Listen, I buy these drones for the camera, so that's what I'm mostly interested in. So we'll take it out, and you know me, we'll try out all the features on this guy and give it a good shot. So look for that in the next video. So yeah, Fimi X8 SE drones, I like them. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one, and we'll see you out in the field with the Fimi X8 SE 2022. See ya.